Hello everyone, welcome back to Study Room. In this video, we will be studying about coordination in plants. In the previous video, we studied that animals have a nervous system for controlling and coordinating the activities of their body. But do plants have a well-developed nervous system like animals? Plants do not have a nervous system nor do they have muscles. So how do they respond to stimuli? This is a very important question that we need to know and we need to answer in this video. Coordination in plants happen through two types of movement. One dependent on growth and the other independent of growth. Plants do not have a nervous system or muscles. Here you can see a person touches the leaves of the touch me not plant, which is also known as the mimosa plant, and it is sensitive to touch. So what it does is the leaves of the plant droops. Okay, the leaves of the plants droop, and here you can see that how the plant is responding to stimuli, that is touch. How does the plant detect the touch and how do the leaves move in response? So the immediate response to stimuli that is happening in the previous video is due to two factors. The first factor is information flow. Plants use electrical chemical means to convey information from cell to cell. But unlike in animals, there is no specialized tissue in plant for the conduction of information. In animals, we studied that there are specialized tissues called the nervous tissues and there are specialized cells called the neurons which help in the conduction of information. But in plants, they do not have such kind of specialized tissues. But they surely have electrical chemical means to convey cell-to-cell information. The second factor that is important for the immediate response to stimuli is shape change. So plants' cell change shape by changing the amount of water in them, resulting in swelling or shrinking and changing shapes. So what they do is they have this water, they take in water or they shrink by giving off water from the cells of the plant, and hence they change the shape and thus they respond to certain stimuli. Next we have the movement due to growth. So plants show movement due to growth. Plant tropisms are mechanism by which plant adapt to environmental changes. A tropism is a growth toward or away from a stimulus. Common stimuli that influence plant growth include light, gravity, water and touch. So when we are set to define what is tropism, you will say that it is growth toward or away from a stimulus. So it depends with respect to the growth that depends with respect to stimulus is called as tropism. And these tropic changes are actually done by plants to adapt to environmental changes. And the kind of stimuli that actually cause movement in plants or cause tropism in plants through growth are light, gravity, water and touch. The movement that is shown by light or the tropism that is shown by light is called phototropism. The tropism that is shown by gravity is called geotropism. The tropism that is shown with respect to water is called hydrotropism, and the tropism that is shown in response to touch is called chemotropism. Okay. Here we will be studying the movement in plants due to growth. So plant tropisms are mechanisms by which plants adapt to environmental changes. So there are certain mechanisms called plant tropism due to which plants can adapt to environmental changes. And what is tropism? A tropism is a growth toward or away from a stimulus. Okay, so if there is a stimulus that is given to a plant and there is growth that is with respect to the stimulus, that phenomena is known as tropism. Here common stimuli that influence plant growth include light, gravity, water and touch. So you will be given to define tropism here and you will be asked to name the common stimuli that influence the plant growth. So you will be supposed to write this definition and also name the stimulus that are important, right? Next up in this video, you can see that the plant grows in two directions. That is, if it grows in the upward direction, there is growth in the shoot, and if it grows in the downward direction, there is growth in the root. So, we'll study the plant movement that is due to gravity, and it is known as geotropism. Geotropism is a process of differential growth by a plant in response to gravity pulling it. Charles Darwin scientifically documented that roots show positive geotropism and stems show negative geotropism. Now, how does this happen? How can we say that roots show positive geotropism and stems show negative geotropism? If we see here that gravity, it acts downward, right? It has downward direction. So when if this is the soil layer, then if you see the root grows in the downward direction, the root grows in the downward direction deep down into soil. So this is the direction of root, and that is why since the direction of gravity and the direction of root growth are similar, are same in direction, so hence this is called as positive. And the shoot growth, that is upward and is opposite to the direction of gravity, then it will be called as negative. So hence the growth of the shoot is called, or the growth of the stem is called as negative geotropism, and the growth of the root that is towards the gravity is known as positive geotropism. Here also you can see how the roots are growing in this direction and the stem is growing in this direction, and that is why it's negatively geotropic and this is root is positively geotropic. Next, the stimulus is light, and the movement due to light is known as phototropism. Phototropism is a movement of a plant in response to light, either towards the source of light, that is positive phototropism, or away from it, that is known as negative phototropism. Now again, since here the light is from the upward direction and the plant is growing vertically upward, so you can see that the plant is growing in this direction. But if the light is again put in the horizontal direction, then you can see that how the plant is bending and is going towards the direction of the light. So when the plant grows towards the direction of the light, if the plant is growing this way and the light is present in this same direction, then it is called as, if the plant is growing in this direction and the light is present in the same direction, then it is known as positive phototropism. And if the plant is growing in the opposite direction of the light, then it is called as negative phototropism. Okay, so this is how it is happening in response to light. Chemotropism, the movement that is based on chemical stimulus, is known as chemotropism. Chemotropism is defined as a growth of plant in response to the chemical stimulus from the environment. The roots grow towards useful minerals displaying positive chemotropism and grow away from the harmful acids displaying negative chemotropism. So this is an example given for the roots of the plants which grow towards useful minerals. Like suppose this is the soil layer and here there are useful minerals and here there is a plant, okay. So here there is a plant and this is the root. So what will happen? That gradually the root will start moving and bending towards this mineral rich soil, okay, and they'll thus try to acquire the minerals present in the surrounding soil and utilize it in the plant. So this movement, this bending movement towards the minerals of the soil is known as positive chemotropism. And if it moves away, like if there are harmful acids, okay, if there are harmful acids present here and the root movement or the shoot movement is away from these harmful acids, then it will be called as negative chemotropism. So this is how plants respond to chemical stimulus as well. Next up, we have the stimulus and the movement shown by plants due to water, which is known as hydrotropism. Hydrotropism is defined as a growth of plants in response to the availability of water. The roots grow towards water soil and away from the dry soil. So this is called as positive hydrotropism. And if the roots, like generally what happens is, if this is a dry root, then this is kept in dry soil. And if a bowl of water is kept here and there's this presence of water, then what you will see that the root grows towards the water. So there's this movement towards water, and then this kind of a example is called as positive hydrotropism. So this is how there's this movement of plants based on the kind of physical stimuli that is provided through it, and how the plant growth is dependent on these kind of stimuli. Next up, we will be studying about the plant hormones. The hormones which are present in plants and are helpful in regulating the plant growth and development. So plant hormones are also known as phytohormones and are organic substances that regulate plant growth and development. And there are wide variety of hormones which can be named as auxins, gibberellins, then abscisic acid, cytokinin, salicylic acid, ethylene, jasmonates, brassinosteroids, and peptides. So all these are kind of plant hormones which regulate the plant growth and development. Up next, we can see here how auxin, that is a very important plant hormone, is actually trying to regulate the plant growth here. So if you see here, when growing plants detect light, auxin hormone synthesized at the shoot tip helps the cells to grow longer. Okay, so this is basically helps the cells to grow longer and helps in plant growth. So auxin increases in shady parts. So what happens here, you see, if the light is from upward direction, then there is this uniform growth of auxin on the shoot of the plant, because the light is received uniformly by all the cells. Okay, so auxin spreads equally down both sides of the plant. So there is uniform growth of cells, and there is this growth of cells, and there is this uniform growth of cells here. Okay, but if the light is from the horizontal direction, then what happens is auxin is secreted more. Auxin is present more in the cells that are present away from the light or the shady part of the plant. So this is the shady part of the plant. Okay, here the light is less, and this is, since this part of the plant is directly exposed to light, so the auxin production is less here, and that is why you see the plant is tending to bend to the side of the light, because the cells of this shady part are growing at a much larger capacity than the cells present in the light in the parts that are exposed to light source. Okay, so you can see how the cell growth is more in the shady part of the plant, and due to which the plant is tending to bend in the direction of the light, and this is how the plant is trying to bend there in the direction of the light. Auxin collects on the shady side of the plant. So there is more auxin in the shady side of the plant, and that is why there is more cell growth here, and that is why the plant is tending to bend to the direction of the light. Up next, we have the other plant hormones, that are gibberellins. It helps in the growth of the stem and thus increases the height of the plant. Okay, so this also helps in growth of the stem and increases the height of the plant. Okay, so you need to remember what are the functions of these hormones and how do they act on the plant growth and development. Okay, next up we have the cytokinins. Cytokinins, what do? They promote cell division, and it is natural that they are present in greater concentration in areas of rapid cell division, such as in fruits and seeds. So the areas where there are rapid cell division like fruits and seeds, the amount of cytokinins is much higher in those areas, and thus they help in the development of these cells and promote cell division in these kind of fruits and seeds where there is rapid cell division. Okay, we have next abscisic acid. Abscisic acid, it signals the plant to stop growing. Its effect include wilting of leaves. So as you can see here, that abscisic acid is a negative, it inhibits the plant growth. Okay, so it is negative for the plant and it inhibits the plant growth, and it also results in wilting of leaves. So these are the Functions of the abscisic acid, like when there is a secretion of abscisic acid in the plant, then these kind of symptoms can be seen in the plant. The plant growth will stop and there will be wilting of leaves. Also, there is this one hormone called ethylene. It promotes or inhibits growth and senescence processes depending on its concentration, timing of application, and the plant species. Okay, so what does it do is it promotes or inhibits growth and senescence processes. Senescence means aging process. Okay, senescence means aging. Okay, senescence means aging. And how do aging in plants happen? Like you can see the leaves of the plants, when they age, then they turn yellow. Okay, so this happens. Then the fruits of the plant, like I can give you a very good example, that is mango. Okay, so when you talk about a mango, what is a mango? Mango at the first, when it is raw, it is green in color, but gradually it turns ripe and it is yellow, or like it changes into yellow color. So the color change also happens due to this ethylene, and there is this aging that is happening in the mango. The change from raw mango to ripe mango, this is basically due to this hormone called ethylene. Okay, so this is a very important hormone, and it is dependent on what all factors? It is dependent on concentration, it is dependent on timing of application, and the plant species in which it is present. Okay, so in that way it is affecting the growth of the plant, and also the aging process of different parts of the plant. Ethylene is regarded as a multifunctional phytohormone that regulates both growth and senescence. That is why ethylene governs the development of leaves, flowers, and fruits as well. So you can see that how important ethylene is, and that is why we must understand the process, how ethylene works. And I gave a very good example of mango, that how due to the action of ethylene it changes from raw to ripe, it changes from green in color to yellow in color, right? So this is how this hormone called ethylene helps in the aging as well as growth of the plant. Next up, we have some questions. The first question is, what are plant hormones? So as we discussed before, plant hormones are also known as phytohormones. They are organic substances that regulate plant growth and development. Next question is, how is the movement of leaves of the sensitive plant different from the movement of a shoot towards light? Okay, so how the leaves movement of sensitive plant? So the movement of leaves in a sensitive plant is nastic movement, which does not depend on the direction of stimulus applied. But the movement of a shoot towards light is a tropic movement which depends on the direction of the stimulus applied. Also, the sensitive plant, the stimulus is touch, but in the light, in the movement of the shoot towards light, the second case, the stimulus is light. In the first case, it is caused by the sudden loss of water from the swellings at the base of the leaves, but in the second case, it is caused by the equal growth on the two sides of the shoot. In the first case, it is a growth movement, and in the first case, it is not a growth movement, and in the second case, it is a growth movement. So here we have question number 2, where it is asked that how is the movement of leaves of the sensitive plant different from the movement of a shoot towards light? Okay, so here we are given first case, that is the movement of leaves of the sensitive plant, and the second case, that is movement of the shoot towards light. So we will be differentiating between these two. In the first case, it is a nastic movement which does not depend on the direction of stimulus applied. But in the second case, it is a tropic movement which depends on the direction of the stimulus applied. In the first case, the stimulus is touch, and in the second case, the stimulus is light. Then in the first case, it is caused by the sudden loss of water from the swellings at the base of the leaves, and that is how the immediate response to the stimuli is shown. But in the second case, it is caused by the unequal growth on two sides of the root. Okay, on the two sides of the shoot. In the first case, it is not a growth movement, but in the second case, it is a growth movement. So these were the 4 points of differences on basis of which you can say that the movement of leaves of the sensitive plant is different from the movement of a shoot towards light. The third question that we have is, give an example of a plant hormone that promotes growth. So we have studied so many plant hormones that promotes growth, but one of the major plant hormone that we studied was auxin, which actually it influenced the growth of plants very much. So this is a very important hormone. This is just, they have to give an example. So auxin is a very suitable example here. Next up, this question, how do auxins promote the growth of a tendril around a support? When the tip of a tendril touches its support, then the auxins present in its tip move to that side of the tip which is away from the support. So auxins promote growth, as you all know. So due to more auxins in it, the side of the tendril away from the support grows faster and becomes longer than the side which is in contact with the support and makes the tendril twirl or bend around the support. So this is how the action of auxin is responsible for the growth of a tendril around the support. Next up, we have the last question, that is, you have to design an experiment to demonstrate hydrotropism. To design this experiment, what we can do is, we can take two glass straws. We can take two glass straws of A and B and fill each of them 2/3 with soil. In straw A, plant a tiny seedling. In straw B, we can plant a similar seedling and place a clay pot inside the soil. Water the soil in straw A daily and uniformly. And do not water the soil in straw B, but put some water in the clay pot. Leave both the straws for a few days. Then you can see that the straw A in which you were watering daily, that is growing properly. But the root of the straw B, where the water was kept in a clay pot, the root will start developing and growing towards the water-rich area, that is the clay pot. So this is how we can actually demonstrate hydrotropism in plants. I hope you enjoyed the lecture and you enjoyed studying the coordination and control in plants. Thank you so much.